speculation, but quite a number of things are actually out there in public today. A lot of people, will be wondering what is happening. So, the federal government, there's a lot of news coming from the federal government. The federal government suing someone. The federal government is collecting some money here and there. It's a lot of things, a lot of gist coming from the federal government. So it promises to be a very interesting one, very enlightening one we're going to be talking about today. Also, there's a lot of gist from politics. Actually, there's a lot of politics gist over and around. Actually, we're going to be talking about that, the issue of the APC and people moving. I think there's some things that are no longer speculations anymore. Looks like there are more people going to be moving to the APC that we're going to be talking about as well. Harvard and the United States they're not backing down. One person is, both of them seem to be going at each other. We're going to be talking about that. Also on a bit of security issues and sports stories today. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's show. My name is Ola Dulupo. And with me in the studio is Shola Rogers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to the bar.
Okay, so we're getting right into today's gist. And like I said, there's quite a number of things at the bar today we're going to be talking about. The federal government is, I think by July, they've announced that they're going to be announcing the GDP data from all 36 states and the FCT. Basically, what they're saying is they're going to be posted how good economically a lot of states are, how viable they are, and all that. And maybe this information might be good for some people to know, what state to invest in. They want not that you shouldn't invest in any state, but basically, it probably might also even help even those states actually also sit up to know where they're doing good and maybe where they're not.
Data is very important for growth. Data is good to, plan. It helps with planning. It helps with assessment and all of that. Imagine when you're doing something for so long and you don't have data to impute, to check, how you could improve or maybe discontinue or redirect, or strategize. And the funny thing is, not until I saw this headline did I start thinking like, wait. We've never really done subnational GDP data in Nigeria.
Yeah, you basically hardly,
it doesn't
maybe like
hit you.
Lagos that you hear that, okay, they have their GDP and all that is out.
So it doesn't hit you like, oh, we don't have that subnational thing going on. Like, wait a minute. What's actually happening in Ondo? What's happening in Kano? What's happening in Enugu? Come on, So every time we talk politics, we talk about the economy, it's always from the federal perspective. This is about to get serious because I hope it does actually. Because now with data available, people can actually pinpoint the weak points.
Yeah.
People can actually also zero in on certain aspects of the economy to say, okay, based on this information, I think we need to go to this place to, plug some holes or, fix some things or tap into the success that's going on wherever, however it is being, done. So it's also going to expose a lot of governors, especially the non-performing ones, because now you are more or less responsible, and there's no excuses anymore.
There are no excuses. Really.
You see the way people are now listing their achievements across Nigeria.
People have to at this point,
and
you have to.
So some are investing. You see governors who are investing in their people. They are investing in their states. They are going into commerce. It's just beyond the usual 10-kilometer road construction, fixing old schools, or building 3.
Oh yeah,
Building 3. What's those things called? Primary healthcare centers that a local government should have built in the first place.
I think
now we're going into
creative.
Scenarios where governors are actually investing more, and we used to have this in the past. Udua investment is a very good example of how states in the southwest actually got together to do that. Then again, in the east also, I think ACB, the bank then, was owned by the eastern states and all of that. And there were some commercial ventures in the north too that were actually done by the northerners, the northern governors. So you start to look at this thing and say, okay, those days are back or are coming back. But again, with data-driven, information would put paid to a lot of things. And we've been saying it here, it's becoming the mantra now. Hold your governors responsible.
Yeah.
Maybe now some states will now invest in data for local government also to find out. Let it trickle down.
There's definitely data that is needed across the country. That's it. Anyway, still talking about the federal government. The federal government has now announced this recovery of $210 million dollar bond that was that had to be paid in during the P&ID case. This was announced by the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General, and basically he was saying that there's still quite a number of millions of pounds that they use as legal fees that they're still supposed to recover. So that's quite a lot of money that the federal government seems to have gotten from that. Now, also, there's also a lot of gist.
The P&ID thing, Dolu, just for a minute. So Nigeria would have lost this particular amount of money, this $210 million.
And still have had to pay.
And still paid some compensation to some people who did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And this is a study in how Nigerians have been stealing this country blind without even dipping their hands on the coffers directly or indirectly. This is an indirect attack on Nigeria. I'm glad that we got this judgment. I'm glad that the government followed through. You must say kudos to all the presidents, past and present, that stood their ground. It's not even a Tinubu. It more or less happened under him.
Yeah, the minister.
Shout out to President Obasanjo and President Buhari, and especially the attorneys generals that have worked on this project.
The minister of Justice he actually commended a lot of directors that work in the Ministry of Justice. Apparently, that basically led this case. He had mentioned their names and talked about how the kind of work that they actually had done over time. So I think that it's commendable that they actually got that. They say that there was an interim £20 million in the account of Nigeria's cost. A 10 million naira has also been a 10 million pound has also been paid. So there's 200 million, there's a 10 million, and then there's still a lot more money that they're supposed to recover in compensation from that. And I think that's a good thing. Now, moving on from that, still on the federal government, news broke, I think this was yesterday evening, that the federal government has officially now filed criminal charges against Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Looks like this matter is not going anywhere anytime soon. The senator representing Kogi Central has now been charged over alleged defamatory remarks made on live television.
Okay, interesting development. This happened yesterday. Sadly, we were not at the bar yesterday. We were at another bar, but we were not this bad. But the truth is, this is not how I thought this was going to turn out. Even in analyzing this thing from different perspectives, this is not the case that I was expecting. I'm still expecting that case. And I know everything is tied together now, but I'm actually still expecting a scenario where Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan gets to sue the Senate president for sexual harassment. That's what started it all. Everything you hear about this matter is always the aftershocks or the after effects of the main crux of the matter. And I wonder why. I don't get it. She came out to say, this man sexually harassed me. This man was always suppressing all my bills, and more or less inferring that all of that was done so that maybe something would happen between them, and then she could have the best of times in the house and all of that. These were things she said openly. I'm not making anything up. But now, she still has not till now. I heard she went to court recently again, but she still has not till now sued this man for sexual harassment.
So now I have a few issues that with this case. Number one is that she really made some damning statements, yeah? And again, I don't think that, at last I checked, she is actually also a lawyer herself. For you to make such damning statements talking about what the Senate president did, basically saying that the Senate president and the former governor of Kogi State are actually attempting to kill you. Basically, that's the bone of this matter. However, my issue is, why is it the federal government that is suing her?
That's the thing that I also don't understand. Like I said, this is not how I thought this case was going to go. So,
I think that
are we under the impression now, or the assumption that the office of the Senate president is something that the federal government must protect and protect?
Maybe.
You know, so
now, we don't know, but maybe.
Would that be the reason why the federal government is the one that's taking up this case? Now,
maybe for the sanctity of the office of the Senate president, it makes sense. I'm just wondering, like, okay, did she make those damning statements? Oh, yes, she did. Are they true or not? That's for the court to determine, yeah? And
that's for her to prove.
That's for her to prove, and that's for the court to determine at the end of the day. However, my question still remains, why is the Senate president himself, why has he not sued her? Why, as apparently the Senate president and the former governor of Kogi State are all witnesses. There are some listed witnesses in this case. So that's why I'm wondering, like, maybe I need a bit more explanation of that. Yeah. Why is the federal government the one suing her?
And, you know, look, I think it's gotten to the point, if there's anybody that knows Senator, excuse me, please excuse me, had to sneeze. I was trying to suppress it and I heard it's bad. If there's anybody that knows Senator Akpoti, it's actually time for her to sue. And it's not to sue for being removed. She's already done that, or being suspended. It's for her to actually sue and provide the evidence she has and put these people in their place. Let's leave sentiment. Let's leave all the she's pretty, she was harassed. Let's leave all those stories. Squeeze my hand story. He squeezed my hand suggestively. All those things do not hold water. What you need now is concrete proof. Concrete proof. Some audio recordings, some lewd text messages, you know, some video from a secret camera. Look, Femi Otedola did it years ago. Abi, didn't he have a recording of someone that came to collect a bribe? Yeah. Even the current chairman of APC, a former governor, was alleged to have been caught on video, alleged counting dollars. Abi, the videos are out there. So we need stuff like that, because this case is not going away at all at this point. Because again, it is hard. Maybe government carry you go court too. It is hard. It is hard. And even this particular guy we did, and that guy be like, what kind of lawyer? We sabi work, so they fear, you know. So for the sanctity of, you know, male and female relationships in Nigeria. When I say male and female, I mean regardless of marital status or whatever, you get, like, crying wolf has become a bad thing in cases where nothing actually happened. A good thing in places where it did go wrong. And, you know, that's why some people who are victims of this similar scenario, they're afraid to come out. And those ones might even have proof, but they're afraid to come out because of victim shaming and blaming. But you're too big for that. And you must have proof before you come on air beyond the sexual harassment now, even this case now is now about
it's beyond sexual harassment now.
Statements that you made. And
They
that was
want
I
to
was
kill
watching
you.
that video the day she was, and
That
I was
they want
I
to
was
kill
actually
you.
I personally was afraid. Like, you cannot come out to say these things without proof.
Which is the reason why, at this point, I honestly thought that immediately putting out that you would have gone to court to sue this Senate President. The Senate President, the former governor of Kogi State. Do you understand? Like, what exactly are we doing? Whatever she thinks that she's dragging at this point, I don't know what the plan is. But like you said, it's not looking good.
No, it's not.
In fact, and I remember saying this even when she was suspended, that the way this thing is dragging, these are 6 months to be complete. At this point, it's not looking good. The Senate President seems to be enjoying himself. He throws jabs at anything and says anything in the House. Not like it's a bad thing.
He's always been a banter kind of guy.
Jonathan, you see videos over and over again, at least once a week, of him just, having fun and just doing whatever he's doing. He seems to be having fun in the House. You are still suspended. You're the one that needs to fight for this thing right now. So I don't know what the plan is, but let justice prevail. Let's put it like that. Let justice prevail. As in our case, she said this injustice cannot stand. So
it
whatever
shouldn't.
injustice,
And the best
on
way,
whatever side, let it
the
not
best
stand.
way, you need proof and you need to provide it. In fact, trust me, you don't even need to wait till you go to court. There's some proof that you have like this that people will be like, "Back be a court case
The
now."
man will himself resign himself.
Ah.
Anyway, before we leave that matter, the federal government is set to share 75,000 naira monthly to 9 million Nigerians. Again, the vulnerable. It's not the first time they're doing it. So,
So I heard that it's data driven. I heard that they have a database of people who have been captured, and there's some international vetting that they use to get this list. My prayer and hope is that this money actually gets to the people, the real people who need it.
Yeah. Very,
honestly,
very, very important.
because it's good to have all these palliatives and these interventions from time to time. I was watching a video of the outgoing chairman of Koshofe. It's Koshofe now, the guy that built the estate and all of that, Abi. Yeah. So I was watching a video, and it's something he does annually. And for as little as 30, 40, 50,000 naira, some women have been able to turn their lives around.
Oh, yeah.
There's this other lady that gave someone, I think, soft drinks and water worth about 30,000 or 40,000. And a month or so after, the woman brought the money back. And she was like, no, plow it back into your business. So all these people, it might mean nothing to you. You look, they look at that. Probably if she's going to sit down at some place, she's going to do like a 50K at a sitting, just hanging out. And that's the day she doesn't want to spend money. Some people will sit down and...
I don't understand. Wait. Did you and I hang out that
You are interrupting the program.
Yes, I am. It's enough to interrupt the program.
I know some people, they could sit down on a Friday night, blow like 300, 400K, and they're just hanging out.
Yeah.
They'll say it's meeting. We're here. I don't know what I'm saying, but I know what I'm saying. Even if some people have to contribute. The bottom line is that some of those monies are life-changing monies for people. In your situation, you're listening to us or watching us, it might be nothing to you. It might mean nothing, but it actually means something to some people. Let this government be sincere enough to ensure that these monies get to the right people. Right. For once, let us actually do things right and turn this country around.
Anyway, moving on from that, let's just go through a bit of security stories. The Inspector General of Police has ordered the immediate redeployment of over 100 senior officials, senior policemen nationwide. Basically, he's just doing a shake-up. Everybody is not, so don't be too comfortable where you are.
Those things are important from time to time. Like you said, the last line, don't be too comfortable where you are. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being comfortable, but also know that your job entails that you can be taken anywhere. What we just need from them, especially the highly placed police officers, is premium service, like professionalism at its best. But I actually don't like the idea of moving the lower cadre away from their locale. I've always felt that having them domiciled majorly in the places where they grew up or where they're from helps their policing, because one of the fact that there are over 300 languages in Nigeria, and you need people who can actually communicate and who quickly also understand the intricate details and all the drama that comes with certain communities and cultures. But yeah, shout out to him. Seems like he's keeping them on their toes.
Anyway, also still talking about the NSA, that's the National Security Advisor, is saying that the sit-at-home order in the Southeast is losing its grip now, that it's not as serious as it used to be again.
That's a bold statement coming from the National Security Advisor. How real or how true is that?
I'll be very happy if that happens. And when I saw it, I'm like, the only thing that maybe I can say that also helped is Mr. Simon Ekpa is in jail.
That didn't stop it.
Kano is in jail, so
it did. In fact, that made it worse.
Maybe some of these things have reduced. That's one thing that just popped in my head.
The thing about it is that those two being in jail would not affect the thing adversely, because the people who enforce are the reason why people are sitting at home. Apart from the people who actually believe in the IPOB course or the ESN course and who are voluntarily sitting at home on Mondays in the southeastern part of Nigeria, there are a large chunk of people that I believe, and I've seen statements here and there, but I might be off on the data, but there's a large chunk of people who will stay at home because of the enforcement. The instant you see them trying to have a party during a period where there's some kind of sit at home in the eastern part of Nigeria, in the southeastern part of Nigeria, you see people roll out with punitive measures, guns, and they're burning their equipment and destroying cars and doing all sorts of things. So it's that enforcement that actually makes people sit at home. So with or without those people, the advantage that those people being in jail is that they might not be able to communicate openly to say for this number of these people, but there's a standard Monday sit at home that has become some kind of norm, and I hope it stops, because it's killing the economy in the southeastern part of Nigeria.
It is absolute nonsense.
Then I think the part that the NSA is coming from is the military crackdown on these enforcers, the ESN and the rest of them. 2 days ago, one of their top commanders was arrested with some guns and some military equipment and uniforms in his abode. So maybe those are the things that he's talking about and the things that they are doing, to stop it. But until they are able to actually remove the criminals who are forcing people to stay at home, this thing is going to continue.
Anyway, also the Nigerian Customs said that they intercepted stolen vehicles from Canada, codeine and other things worth 3.2 billion at the Apapa port. And I think that this matter of intercepting stolen vehicles I don't think that is getting worse. I think that there's a lot more clamping down on it.
Yeah. There's more technology now. They're able to, filter and process data faster and better. And there've been recent collaborations between the Nigerian Interpol and the international wing of it. I know that a few vehicles were supposed to have been sent back to Canada. I'm sure they've been sent by now.
Yeah, I think so.
Back to Canada a couple of months ago and everything. And it's a good thing. And I think that the more they have these partnerships, the more technology is deployed.
Yeah, the more
these
people realize it's not a business.
But
yes.
Again, the criminals abroad who are sending it to people in Nigeria. If you can also maybe pick up the ones in Nigeria,
those things, who's the person
will go a long way.
Those things up?
Because those things are sent in people's names or to people. Even if they're agents, the agents will tell you who sent the vehicle.
Yeah.
So that way you can also stop this illicit trade in stolen vehicles that is actually damaging the image of the country. When a tiny number of people have decided to rubbish the rest of us, and the same people will still come back to say Nigeria is bad and blah blah blah. But they're out there, committing all sorts of stupid crimes, all in the name of making a quick buck.
Anyway, so let's move quickly and let's do a bit of politics. Now, before we go into the intricate matters, is it good that we're already talking this much politics in 2025 for an election that is going to happen maybe March, April 2020? Maybe around February, March 2027.
I think it's not good. In my opinion, I think it's not good that politics that should be on the back burner has been on the front burner since the beginning of this year, majorly since the beginning of this year. And I think there are a lot of reasons for it, but let's stick to the question that you asked. Is it a good thing? It's not right. It's not a good thing on all ramifications.
Anyways, talking about that, the APC had a national summit yesterday, and they now declared President Tinubu as their sole candidate for the 2027 presidential election.
Before you go further,
what that means is that there are no primaries.
Yeah, before you go further, again, I want to voice my displeasure at the venue of this political gathering. Using the seat of power, especially Aso Rock, for such meetings, for me, is off. And this is just me voicing my displeasure. I think that the APC or any party is big enough to take their political matters to a neutral ground or to their own space. My view.
Okay, so I too know Inc. says, hey, this is a lot of Yoruba. Please pardon my Yoruba. I actually pride myself to be able to speak Yoruba, but reading it might be a bit of an issue.
Okay.
Ẹni gbé epo lájà kò jalè bí ẹni tó gbálẹ̀. I'm not sure I read that right. The crime of the person who stole from the roof is not as bad as the person who helped him to put it on the ground safely. A la the stolen vehicles. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
so it's
100%.
The people that, like you were saying, it means 100%. That the people that are supposed to speak it, yeah.
You see, look, the thing is, look at virtually everything that is an illicit trade. If there are no buyers, that business will virtually die. You get, or if it is not criminalized anymore. There are certain items in my mind that is making me say the things I said. For instance, in the evenings, you see people hanging out. They're not hanging out. They're standing on the street, and they are not going anywhere. And they're mostly female. And you'll be wondering, like, what's going on here? Allen Avenue, Sanisifa Foa, and all of that. There used to be a lot of them on Adira Ogunsoya. We don't see them there anymore. I don't know. Is it that the buyers have stopped or they've taken the business online? For as long as there are willing buyers, those things would thrive. So if you go after the buyers also, it actually kills illicit trade. So I totally agree with him.
Okay.
Or her, but I don't want to misgender. I'm sorry.
Okay, so like we said, the APC had a national summit yesterday. A lot of things back and forth. I think I saw a video where was it the chairman of the APC? No, not the chairman. The Senate president talked about how there's a lot of movement in the National Assembly. That there's even a Labour Party senator that was in his car. That the person really just wanted to move.
Apapa is a very funny man.
I saw a video, I think the day before, where he was literally making fun of
he was talking about
senators in the House. I'm like, nah.
He was talking about how the new decampees to the APC need orientation. They had said they had called out their party's name, and the response was the response of the PDP. And say, no, you need training. You need training and orientation.
So basically, a lot of things were said back and forth, the president, the vice president, everybody. Ministers, governors, who was really at that. And even the new decampees were all at that summit yesterday. However, this was just a preamble to the gist that is going around, and this is not just gist. There is a video out there, and it's not smiling. In the past 1-2 months, the governor of Akwa Ibom State seemed to be very, very okay with the APC. Or more like the president. He's voiced his pleasure, his support for the president, yeah. And a lot of people say, when is this? In fact, people probably thought that he was going to move faster than the Delta governor. Nobody saw that Delta governor one coming so quickly. But one thought that he was going to move. He has not moved yet. However, there is a video that he has now told his commissioners and appointees that he's going. That's Yupu's business. In fact, in his words, if you don't know that I'm going, I don't know what you know. However, if you are not going with me, I'm not forcing you. You're just going to resign.
That's the governor, my TGIF governor. Fantastic guy.
But is it good for him to have just, according to him and according to his statement, he was talking about how people need to, especially his appointees, they answer to him directly, and if they're not on the same...
I can give you some examples. In Zamfara State, a couple of years ago, the then governor Matawale decided to cross to the APC, and his deputy governor refused to go. The deputy governor stayed back, and he more or less kicked the guy out. It was funny. The guy went to court and eventually got some kind of judgment, but it was late. There was nothing they could do about it. So that's one example. Another example was in Oyo State, where the governor, that's Governor Sheyi Makinde, had a falling out with his then deputy, and his deputy crossed to, I think, the APC.
Yeah.
And somehow, Governor Makinde was able to kick him out. Do you understand? So, more or less, when you are not an elected person or you are not directly in charge, you most likely don't have a say. You don't have a say because as a deputy, maybe you're seen as, I hate the word spare tire, but that's what some people have described deputies as at some point in time. So every single one of the people in his cabinet were selected by him. They were we can appointed. You can use the word appointed, but there was at least you go select before you appoint. Bend down, select. 10 cover. Just pick it together and say, okay, now which I won't buy with this. So what it means in essence is that we did not hear let's juxtapose with Delta State. Governor Sheriff Oberewori did not make this statement. At least he didn't make it openly, or he didn't make it in front of the camera. Yeah. So we assume that he didn't say it. But they must have discussed it at some point in time. Yeah. You get. So maybe Governor Umo.
But really, the whole cabinet moved anyway.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to juxtapose that Governor Umo more or less had a camera there and it was recorded, and he's actually saying that, look, if you do not cross over with me, he's gone. After all, I brought you into government. I'm the one that selected you, and as it stands, I can deselect or unselect or overselect or something deselection. You understand? So the bottom line here is that it is on them, and maybe there are cracks in the wall. Maybe, just maybe, there are cracks in the wall.
So he's trying to tell people now, so that
let it be what it is,
But he made a very interesting statement. If for people that have watched that video, and I think that's another thing a lot of people are glossing over. The man said that he knows that he's done so much, that he appreciates everybody, that they've done so much, that he knows that whatever party he goes, they could win the elections. However, there are so many issues with the national PDP that even if that election is won, on a matter of technicality on whether somebody should have signed your form or not, you can lose the election. Exactly.
We've highlighted that here more than once. People need to understand the intricate, issues that the PDP faces. And again, I keep saying it, they are not serious about solving that problem. I still said it here a couple of days ago. I don't think they finally were able to present a governorship candidate in Anambra. I'm not sure they have.
Not heard of
there was talk about it last week. You get. The problem is with your ESCO. for people to even contest elections. And there are a couple of elections. The Abuja municipal elections are coming. The Lagos State local government elections are coming. There are a couple of elections here and there. There are some off-cycle elections coming.
Yeah, Anambra elections.
Anambra is up next in a few months' time. But people need the EXCOs, at least one or two people in the EXCO, especially the secretary, to sign their forms.
Yeah.
And without that, you are not an authentic candidate. And the PDP have not been able to resolve that.
But could that be one of the issues?
Rather, they're going around claiming that somebody is messing with their party. If you are weak enough that somebody can mess with your party, maybe you don't need to have a party in the first place. Because if by now you cannot resolve the party that was so big that they said they were going to be in power for 60 years.
Yeah, but they were not now.
Okay, now you're still there and you cannot come together and look for a political solution to your internal wranglings. I had a bet with someone because we're privy to some information and it's now coming out, all these governors are cross-carpeting. And mentioned some names and he's like, yes, I agree with this, I agree with that, but there are one or two names it would never cross. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Now, here it is. Umoyeno, within the next couple of days, it can't even be months anymore.
Months? The man has come out to say all is just not official.
It's going to go and pick up his...
With that video, it's obvious the man has moved.
He'll go and pick up his APC jersey now and start playing for them.
Let's not deceive ourselves. The man has moved. But do we see more governors moving, though?
This is a deep problem for the opposition in Nigeria. Now, I like Tinubu's response to the talk about one-party state. I like it. It's politics. And at some point, he finished that statement by saying, clean them all. And he has a broom as their symbol of their party. Mm-hmm. Clean them all. This is what needs to be done. To Alhaji Abubakar Atiku, to Peter Obi, to former Senate President Bukola Saraki, and all the people who have a name, a structure, a platform in the opposition. This is the time for you to come together and drop your personal ambitions. This is the time for you to actually dig in deep, introspect. You know the problems that you have. Drop those problems aside, and come together and form a solid portfolio. Forget all this talk. I've heard a whole lot of rhetoric.
But maybe that's the reason why they're looking at it. Take, for example, Atiku Abubakar. Maybe that's why he's looking for another party,
that he can contest.
That he can contest.
And I'm saying,
looking at that the PDP,
we're not saying the same thing.
Like it.
No, we're not saying the same thing. I am saying that Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and anybody, I mentioned some names, Segun Showunmi, all the people who have a name, who have a voice, who people listen to, who have a structure, who have a system in place. Showunmi wanted to be governor in Ogun. Those are the kind of people I'm talking about. Like, they need to come together. And at this point, when they come together, they need to speak some truths to themselves. And the first thing is that nobody should put their personal ambition first. I listen to them talk about the other person that's pushing the coalition agenda. You're talking about taking power. It's not about taking power. Somebody tell them, let me give them this free.
Is it not?
It's not. It should be about governance. It should be about saying that you don't think Tinubu is on the right path and we can redirect the Nigerian ship. It shouldn't be about we want to chase him back to Lagos. Why are you chasing him back to Lagos? To bring somebody from where again to what? At this point, Nigerian politics has gone beyond all these rhetorics. It should be about you. And that's why a lot of people are not taking them serious. They think Nigerians are stupid. Nigerians are looking at them. They're like, okay, Tinubu is this. We get it. We already know. But you that you are coming, you're only on about taking power. You're not on about how you're going to turn Nigeria around. So it's time they stopped all that BS, come together and drop all their personal, and now look amongst themselves for two people. One from the south, preferably the presidential candidate must be from the south. We must have that 8 years and let it go back to the north for another 8 years. And another northern candidate then come together and map it out and have real structures and have people contest for every seat that is available, contest for every governorship position that is available, everything. Not the one that some of you could not even provide candidate, what's the party agent in over 90-something thousand booths. And you say you won an election or you want to win. You cannot be winning elections where you are not monitoring the results. And you are depending on social media. Anybody can write anything on social media. So it's time to, if you are serious, and I hate all these rhetorics and all these games that they are playing. If you are really serious about taking power from the APC, you must drop your personal ambitions first. Right. Pick it up after if people come to you to say, you're the man, you're the one we want.
Okay, we'll see.
Free advice. You guys should be paying me millions of naira for this.
We'll
and
see
I'll settle Dolupo with maybe 5% or 10%. No, I'll give her 50%. I'm a good guy. 50. Then she would be the one to pay the tithes on behalf of both of us.
Wow, I see.
That makes your share 45%.
Tithes is not 5%.
No, because I will drop 5% still.
Yeah.
As a good guy.
Still talking about politics. The Labour Party has now secured their last year forms, and they're set to contest July 12 local government elections in Lagos.
That's a good thing. That's what we need for democracy to thrive. And I saw a video of some Labour Party people that had gone to the State Electoral Commission, and they were on about how, they were the real people in charge. There's a lady that is the most popular Labour Party chairman. But the State Electoral guy was telling them about letters from three other factions, making 4. And they went
4 now? I thought they were just...
He said 3 others, making 4. And they went on and on and on. And the man was going, and he was adamant. And he was like, well, it's not his job. He's waiting for INEC and all of that. It looks like they've cleared that up now.
I hope so.
And Labour Party, they need to put their house in order.
Should I be honest? I think that a lot of parties in Nigeria are making it very, very easy for the APC.
You know why?
And it wasn't the other way around. Did the APC win an election in 2015? Yes. I think they first won it in 2015, won 2019. In 2015, it was not that easy for the APC to unseat. In fact, a lot of people would have said that if it wasn't Jonathan, they probably would not have won that election. If it was some other people that was in power at that point in time. Do you understand? But y'all are making it very, very easy for the APC, and I would say why. I will use Lagos State as an example. Why I said so is 1. When it comes to local government elections, most of the time, it's always the party at the center or party in the state that wins the elections. How they do it, we don't know, but it's somehow happens that way. However, I think we're getting to a point where people are getting more aware. They might still win, yeah, but at least give them a run for their money. Now, take for example, number 1, we've not even heard anything from PDP. Labour Party, there are already 3 or 4 now factions, and there's an election in July. Mm-hmm. Do they even need to go for election anymore when everybody is in disarray? What else is left? What are we doing? What are you guys doing? And at times I'm like, don't you people sit down and listen to yourselves?
If anybody was serious about anything, there'll be a roadmap. There'll be plans that are so glaring, and people will get it. And the funny thing is that they just like to play to the gallery. They just bring out a lot of sentiment. Our party has been infiltrated. Oh, God, how did it happen now? How did you let them?
You allowed it.
And democracy is only on that threat when you lose
and it's funny, this particular news now from the Labour Party, now they're saying is that this is the according to some sources, that the leadership of the authentic one that they're talking about is the one under Pastor Dayo Ekong.
Yeah, she was the one I saw in the video.
And this is under the national leadership of Julius Abure. Really? Yeah,
and of course we have actually seen a lot of, like, the owners of the party, more or less. That's the people who put this party together, the Labour Congress. They had a press conference about 2 days ago, and it doesn't look like they are in sync with Abure.
So I'm like,
but there are a lot of people telling you that, oh man, Abure has it. It's the judgment from the court, and is the one that.
But are we deaf or are we blind?
What does this tell you at the end of the day? That even if a Labour Party person now wins, and the person they defeat goes to court,
game over.
Based on all of this drama, won't they lose out?
Anyway, moving on from that, let's just go through a bit of gist from the states. In Rivers State, the sole administrator, Ibas, has announced a phased rehabilitation of the Rivers State Secretariat. A Kano Judiciary has demoted a registrar and retired a senior official over misconduct. In Borno State, the governor has returned to Marte in a bid to restore peace. So there apparently has been a lot of issues. The governor was there on Saturday. Now he's moved back there now, hoping that maybe his presence would...
Anytime you hear the government say, we have done so much, we have dealt with terrorists, the instant you hear that thing, the thing picks up again. A few months ago, people were saying, they done well with security. Suddenly, the insurgents are back. Yeah. Is there something wrong somewhere that we don't know? They are back. They're attacking the military. They're trying to enter their base. They're doing a whole lot. But how many governors can be like Professor Zulum of Borno State? I think is such an amazing politician, someone who actually puts his life on the line all the time, and I pray that he's actually protected and that he succeeds. Then you start to wonder, like, who is going to be the next governor? Remember, they had Kashim Shettima, who is now vice president. In my opinion, I think he did well as a governor. If you go and look at some of the things that he did, and Governor Zulum is doing better, in my opinion. I stand to be corrected, though.
But it's interesting. Anyway, in Kano State, the governor has bailed out stranded Kano students in Cyprus. Apparently, the people that they had some school fees issues to the tune of about 2.24 billion naira.
Is that the same Cyprus that the Nigerian government said they shouldn't go?
No, I think that one is Northern Cyprus.
It's a different one.
Maybe.
Please be careful out there, especially parents. Please be careful how your words are going in search of the golden fleece. Please.
Speaking of school, U.S. government has now revoked Harvard's right to enroll foreign students. They're also telling them that the foreign students in their schools need to transfer to other schools.
There's an ongoing battle. You see that this actually made our headlines because it's something that we want to discuss. There's an ongoing battle between an institution and the government of the day. The government of the day under President Donald Trump. How did we get to a point where a university
president is fighting you?
I don't know.
Don't you have a lot more things on your table?
I don't get. But okay, but the thing here is that the school, rather than just roll over or bend over, they said no.
What is Harvard?
They stood their ground.
It is Harvard.
So some things, it now became like a ping pong game that it serves and they return it, and he does this and they do that, and now it's gone to this point where it's telling them that cannot.
We'll see what they're going to come from.
I don't think that Harvard will take this. And again,
lying down,
then President Trump also has to be careful that it doesn't demystify himself with all these executive orders or all these laws that he's passing.
And then people realize that
at some point,
to just go to court.
If the court keeps reversing him, he would lose that verve and that credibility that he has, even amongst. Well, no, he can't lose anything amongst his people.
Some people just love him.
The MAGA nation
Anyway,
Trump can't do no wrong.
Still talking about the U.S. They have now the U.S. Treasury have announced the end of penny production. Apparently, a few months ago, he had actually told the head of Treasury that they're wasting money printing coins. So I think
what do we
by
say now?
2026, they're stopping the complete production of.
What do we say now? A nickel for your thoughts. We can't say a penny for your thoughts anymore.
Yeah,
because there's no more penny. So what do we say now?
$1 for your thoughts.
A dollar for
$1 for your thoughts.
So even our idiomatic expressions have now experienced
$1 for your thoughts.
No, they've experienced what's that thing when the economy is bad again, when things go high.
I don't know what you're talking about.
When you say that the economy is bad, things have
inflation.
Idiomatic expressions have now expressed inflation. So you can no longer say a penny for your thoughts. What you say now is $1 for. You see, our thoughts are not cheap anymore. Thoughts are now dollar. Excuse me, please. Or shall I say, please? Now, $1
we don't have this time.
$1 for your thoughts.
Japan has eased student visa rules for 2025, extending scholarships and English language degrees. So you might not want to go to Harvard, just go to Japan.
Basically, Dolugo is a bad person. You see the way she arranged this story. One country is saying you can't go to Harvard, another country is saying you can come to Japan.
Now. Why not if not?
So when one door is
closing,
pennilized, you can dollarize the other one by opening it.
Anyway,
it's a good thing. I've never been to Japan. If there's a country that is on my bucket list, I started believing in bucket list now. So if there's a country, it's Japan and China. I'd like to go to those places. All those videos that they are showing us how you can sit down and do, and then you just stand up because everything has been cleaned. I want to experience it, but not in Nigeria. Even if they bring it, I don't want.
It's Japanese one that you want.
I want the Japanese one.
Anyway, let's do a bit of sports before we go. The National Sports Festival is still ongoing. One very interesting update is that a particular person won a medal. Do all that you do, and then go and write work after.
There are a lot of beautiful stories coming out from the National Sports Festival. That's a beautiful one. Like, I think she got the first gold medal.
Yeah.
That means she's going to get 2.5 million naira from the governor because he announced that for their athletes. And she just went to school, like, go and write her exam. There's another very, very beautiful story, and it has to do with the Lagos State weightlifting team. A mother and daughter team that won medals.
Yeah, they did.
It's so fantastic. Beautiful.
There's so many.
When you look at these things, you wonder why we are.
And then they love
buzzing.
Young athletes.
Yeah.
And this is not just the 37th state or 38th state. This is actually states coming to actually bring.
In cycling also, there's a Nigerian athlete who is recognized globally, been to the Olympics, and won the African stage, got defeated by a junior athlete yesterday. That's something.
That's
there.
massive. That is massive. Also,
the only thing you didn't put is baby. That's massive, baby.
Anyway, the National Sports Festival looks like the South people are dominating at the moment.
As usual now.
It's a Bielsa
versus
Delta thing. Lagos State, I think last I checked, they're still like 4th or 5th.
They're 6th. Lagos is 6th.
No, they dropped to 6th.
Bielsa is 1st. Delta is 2nd. There's just one gold medal in between them. I think Oyo is 5th or thereabout. Sorry to the people who are 3rd and 4th.
I thought that Ogun State would have pushed in more. But
one good news, all the states have finally made it to the medal table now.
Yeah.
Every state has won something, even if it's bronze.
Yeah. So that's good. But, there are quite a number of things that still come. There's still a lot of athletics that we're going to be seeing.
That's
so,
coming.
So there might still be a bit of shift here and there. But I like the states that are already gathering as many medals as they can at the moment. It's actually looking very, very beautiful.
And because this year's sports festival was postponed from last year, there's going to be another one in 12 months time, barely 12 months from now.
Yeah, I think it's in Enugu.
Yeah, Enugu is hosted in 2026. And, you know, again, sadly, rugby got dropped somehow. And we're hoping that next year at the sports festival in Enugu, there'll be rugby.
There will be. Anyway, moving on from that. So, remember the Nigerian boxer that died in Ghana?
Yeah.
So, now the committee that was looking into it has now asked that the Ghanaian government cover his repatriation, his funeral, and basically his funeral and his movement back to Nigeria.
It's the least they can do based on the circumstances and everything.
Yeah. Anyway, Real Madrid has officially announced Ancelotti's departure.
Yeah.
He is finally leaving.
Madrid's loss and Brazil's gain.
Yeah, there are quite a number of things. Luka Modric is also
sadly
leaving.
He wasn't meant to leave this season, but Madrid wants to really go the youth way.
Yeah, they I think they needed. They did not have a very fantastic season, so maybe it's time. And then there's the Club World Cup. So and also I know that FIFA has opened a small window for the teams going for Club World Cup, just so that they can a little bit of transfer window that they can buy, maybe show up a little bit for that. Also talking about teams, Coca-Cola seems to be the new added sponsor for the English Premier League. They put out a campaign that had, so what they're looking at is that they're now going to be putting out cans and producing cans of all 20 Premier League teams.
I think it's a master stroke on their part. On their part now. Because remember the last campaign when they were putting people's names on bottles?
Oh, and people would just buy cans, just because.
Yeah, those things work. You know, it actually does work. I just pity teams like Liverpool and Man United. You see, the cans are already red. So there's nothing special happening to you. And Arsenal. But
yeah,
you see the other things.
Arsenal, Liverpool,
Man United.
But
you see the other guys. Picture a can of Man City Coke. Just picture it. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful.
It is. I saw a picture of it. It was actually really nice. Like you said, those campaigns help. It cannot work for someone like me because I know that in this world and the next, my name cannot be in a name can. So those things did not work for me. It moved me. It cannot be me.
But you could have gone online to order if you wanted to.
Yeah, I heard so. You know that even in Nigeria, I at least I'd seen it in the party once, you could actually customize like cans of Coke that you actually want at your own party and all that. So those things are actually very nice. Anyway, talking about a bit of entertainment, Kano has now shut down 8 entertainment centers in the state over morality concerns. Y'all are quite immoral. That's what they're telling y'all.
Next story.
Anyway, a YouTuber and a skit maker, Nigerian skit maker, apparently just won $10,000. And can we say that it was just coincidence? Apparently, he was at Kai Senat's Streamer University, and remember the Beast guy gave Kai Senat $10,000 and said I should gift somebody, and that look under your chair and see if there's a sticky note there, and kaboom, it was Shank. Yeah,
shout out to Shank. He had hosted this guy in Nigeria last year. It's a big deal and everything, and he's one of those that are actually doing very well online.
Oh yeah, it seems to be putting in the work. So looks like the guy just got $10,000 richer. Anyway, on that note, that is all we have to take today on The Bar. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again not tomorrow. Why do I keep saying that thing? On Monday.
The Boom Bar will be back on Monday, same time. But Boom Radio NG, we know the sleep, we know the slumber. We're 24 hours around the clock.
Alrighty, so have a beautiful, beautiful weekend.
Remember to subscribe,